Hey guys, today I'll be making my predictions for the 2020 governor races, and this is my last prediction for mid-August. I made my House predictions yesterday, my Senate predictions the day after that, the day before that, and then my presidential election predictions the day before that. You can check all of those out after watching this video. And so currently the Republicans have 26 governors and the Democrats have 24, so the Republicans do have more governors than the Democrats. And in 2020, there are 11 states holding governor elections, basically all of these states in a darker gray. And so the governorships after 2020, I think, are going to be very important because of redistricting after the 2020 census. Redistricting and gerrymandering can really give a party the edge in those states, in the House legislatures as well as the House of Representatives. And in states like North Carolina, the Republicans were able to gerrymander the state so well that they had to redraw it in 2018 just to make it more fair for the Democrats. And so today I just want to fill in this map based on the margins I expect each party to see in these states. And first with the two solid Democratic states being the states of Washington and Delaware. So the Republicans do only have 19 seats that are not up for re-election. The Democrats had 19, but the Republicans are going to have more solid seats. So in the state of Washington, Jay Inslee is going to be running for a third term. He's up 29 points in the polls against any of his possible Republican challengers, and he ran for president in 2020. He ran on a single-issue campaign on climate change. It did not go anywhere, but in Washington, he is very popular and a very well-known figure in the state, as he's a two-time governor from the state at the moment. And then the state of Delaware, John Carney is expected to win re-election. This is Joe Biden's home state, a very left-leaning state. I do not expect any Republican to pose a strong challenge in the state of Delaware. For the Republicans, the states of Utah and North Carolina definitely safe Republican states. These states have been going to the Republicans for quite a while now, and they are all traditionally conservative states. And then the state of Indiana, I think Indiana, very interesting race in 2020, just because of how safe it is for the Republicans this time around. In 2016, the Democrats were actually expected to carry the governorship in Indiana, mainly because of Mike Pence and his, unpopularity as a governor from the state of Indiana. He was the governor from Indiana before the 2016 election, when he was Donald Trump's running mate in the 2016 election. And so because of his unpopularity, many voters in Indiana were expected to vote Democratic in 2016, but the Republicans were able to narrowly hold onto the governorship in Indiana. And in 2020, Mike Pence really is not going to have that sort of effect anymore, so it's going to be a safe governorship for the Republicans out of the state of Indiana. And another solid Republican state, the state of West Virginia. Mike Parson currently holds this seat. Jim Justice currently holds this seat. He used to be a Democrat, and he flipped it to the Republicans, changing his party affiliation in 2018, I believe. So before that, the Republicans and Democrats both held 25 governorships, but because of him switching party affiliation, the Republicans currently control 26 to the Democrats with 24. He is expected to win his re-election in West Virginia by a pretty large margin. West Virginia, of course, being one of the most Republican states in the country, second only to Wyoming in 2016. And then the states of New Hampshire and Vermont, I think these are going to be likely states for the Republican incumbents, and I am going to be moving into the likely column for the Democrats and the Republicans now. I think that New Hampshire and Vermont, very interesting. They are all very Democratic on both the presidential and Senate levels. Senate levels, just in 2020, Jean Shaheen is definitely going to win with a solid margin in New Hampshire. She really has no serious Republican challengers, but on the gubernatorial level, it is more of a Republican state. Chris Sununu in the state of New Hampshire and Phil Scott in Vermont. They're both very popular in their states, and they're all expected to win re-election with likely margins. What's interesting is that out of these two states, state of Maine and most of the Northeast, they tend to like more moderate Republicans. So these two governors, they are not Trump supporting Republicans. They are more of the older type of Republicans, from John McCain and Mitt Romney like Republicans. So they are not Trump Republicans, which is why the voters here are going to re-elect these two governors. So, but on the presidential level, they are definitely not going to vote for Donald Trump. And then next is the state of Missouri. I think this is going to be a lean state for the Republicans. Mike Parson is the incumbent. He's up 6 points in the state of Missouri. I think that Missouri is going to be a little closer than these other states, but I think definitely it's still going to go to the Republicans. Missouri is moving a little bit more and more to the right. Barack Obama came within 0.2 points of winning in 2008, and in 2012, of course, the margin increased with Mitt Romney, and it increased even further in 2016 with Donald Trump. So Missouri definitely going to go to the Republicans with a lean margin. And then the state of North Carolina, I think North Carolina, Roy Cooper, he's up 10 points in the state of North Carolina. A lot of projections give this to the Democrats with a lean margin, but I think it's going to be a likely margin. He's been polling pretty well in this state for quite a while. I think that Roy Cooper is definitely going to win the race in North Carolina. Of course, one of the most gerrymandered states before 2018. I think that this is definitely going to be good for the Democrats in the state of North Carolina. And then lastly, the state of Montana. Honestly, this is going to be the closest Senate race. If you look at all of the Senate races, there are really no races that are too close. North Carolina, Missouri might be a little close, but there really aren't two competitive races besides Montana. Greg Gianforte, he is the Republican, and he is expected to win the governorship in the state of Montana against Mike Cooney, who is the current lieutenant governor from the state of Montana. And so currently Steve Bullock is the governor, but he is running for Senate in the state of Montana in a very close race with Steve Daines at the moment, so he's not going to be running for another term as governor. And Greg Gianforte, Republican, is expected to flip the state of Montana for the Republicans. He is currently up 3 points in the polls against Mike Cooney, but I still think it's going to be a tilt margin for the Republicans. I don't think it's going to be a lean margin. I think that Montana is going to be very close. It is typically always a Republican state on the presidential level, but on the gubernatorial level and the Senate level, it is more of a toss-up, which is very interesting from the state of Montana. And I think that Montana is going to go to a Republican in 2020. I think Mike Cooney, I think he is going to pose a very strong challenge, but I do think that the Republicans are going to retake the governorship in the state of Montana. And so that is basically it for this video. I think that the Republicans are going to win 27 seats after 2020, and the Democrats winning 23, which means that the Democrats will lose 1 seat, the seat in Montana currently held by Steve Bullock, and the Republicans will gain the 1 seat from the state of Montana, giving the Republicans 4 more seats than the Democrats after the 2020 midterms. Not midterms, the 2020 election. And so if you enjoyed this video, please consider leaving a like as well as subscribing to my channel. Check out my other videos, and I will see you in the next one.